In the realm of Norse mythology, few tales resonate with as much sorrow and grandeur as the fateful clash between Freyr, the god of fertility, peace, and prosperity, and Surtr, the relentless giant of fire, at the end of days known as Ragnarök. This confrontation is not merely a duel of strength and weaponry, but a poignant narrative of sacrifice, fate, and the eternal dance between creation and destruction. It is a story where love and duty collide, where the seeds of hope are sown even as the world burns, and where the choices of gods echo through the ages. Let us journey through this saga, tracing the origins of Freyr's gentle power, the tragic decision that left him defenseless, the fiery purpose of Surtr, and the ultimate meaning woven into their final battle. Freyr, whose name evokes images of fruitful fields and gentle rains, stands among the most beloved figures of the Norse pantheon. Born of the Vanir, nature gods distinct from the warlike Aesir, Freyr is the son of Njordr, god of the sea and winds, and twin brother to the radiant Freya. He is celebrated as the bringer of life, the patron of growth and plenty. Where Freyr treads, the earth blossoms, herds flourish, and peace reigns among men. Farmers offer prayers before planting seeds, merchants seek his favor for prosperity, and those weary from battle call upon his name for respite and harmony. Among his many treasures, Freyr possesses marvels that reflect his divine role. Gullinbursti, the golden-bristled boar, can traverse air and earth with unmatched speed, its mane glowing like the dawn. Skidbladnir, the magical ship, can be folded to pocket size, yet carries all the gods of Asgard across the seas. And most precious of all is his sword, an enchanted blade that fights of its own accord, guided by Freyr's mere thought. This sword is not just a weapon, it is a symbol of his power to protect and sustain life. Yet, destiny is shaped by choices, and even the gods are not immune to the pulls of the heart. Freyr's fateful decision begins on a day when curiosity leads him to Odin's throne, the mighty Hlidskjalf, from which one can see all the realms. There, his gaze falls upon Gerdr, a giantess of surpassing beauty, walking in the gardens of her father's home in Jotunheimr. The radiance of her arms illuminates sky and sea, captivating Freyr's soul with a longing so intense it becomes a sickness of the heart. Unable to bear the ache of unfulfilled love, Freyr sends his servant Skirnir to woo Gerdr on his behalf. The journey is perilous, for the lands of the giants are fraught with danger, but Skirnir is resourceful. When persuasion fails, he resorts to threats and the promise of powerful gifts. Gerdr, proud and strong-willed, finally consents, but for a price. She demands that Skirnir bring her Freyr's enchanted sword, the very emblem of his might. In that moment, Freyr chooses love over foresight. He relinquishes his greatest weapon, sealing his fate. In Norse lore, where even the gods are bound by prophecy, this act is both tragic and noble, a reminder that passion can lead even the wise astray, and that the consequences of our choices may ripple far beyond our own desires. On the other side of this cosmic story stands Surtr, the primordial giant of fire. He is not born of malice, but of necessity, a being forged in the searing flames of Muspelheim, the land of fire and chaos. Surtr's purpose is singular and absolute, to herald the end, to cleanse the world in fire so that it may begin anew. His sword blazes with a light fiercer than the sun, a weapon not of mere destruction, but of transformation. Surtr is no personal enemy to Freyr or the other gods. He is the harbinger of endings, the force that brings the old world to ashes so that the seeds of a new one may be sown. His destiny is to lead the sons of Muspelheim in the final onslaught, to shatter the Rainbow Bridge Bifrost, and to set the 9 realms alight. In this, he is an instrument of cosmic balance, destruction that makes way for rebirth. As the ages pass, the shadow of Ragnarök lengthens. The ancient prophecies foretell the signs. Fimbulwinter, a winter without end, grips the lands. The sun and moon are devoured by the monstrous wolves Skjold and Hati. Earthquakes shatter the bonds that hold chaos at bay. The dead rise, and the armies of giants and monsters gather. When the last day dawns, Surtr marches at the head of his fiery host. The sky burns, the seas boil, And the gods, knowing their fate, prepare for the final stand. On the plain of Vigridr, the greatest battle in creation unfolds. Odin faces Fenrir, the wolf destined to swallow him whole. Thor meets the serpent Jormungandr, a clash that will leave both slain. Freyr, the gentle, life-giving god, stands before Surtr, armed with nothing but his courage and the remnants of his divine strength. Here, the contrast is stark and heartbreaking. Surtr, blazing and unyielding, is the very image of doom, his sword poised to end all things. Freyr, who has given up his weapon for love, confronts the end with empty hands. Yet he does not flee. He stands, knowing full well the outcome, embodying the Norse ideal of facing doom with honor. The ancient poems do not linger on the details of their duel. They spare us the agony of watching hope overwhelmed by fire. But we can imagine it, the god of spring and sunlight, wielding all his skill and will, defying the inevitable. Perhaps he calls forth the power of the earth itself, summoning fruitfulness one last time against the tide of flames. Perhaps he meets Surtr's blows with bare hands, a final gesture of resistance against annihilation. But prophecy has already spoken. Freyr falls to Surtr's sword, not because he is weak, but because the cycle must be completed. His sacrifice is not in vain. In his death, there is dignity, a testament to the value of love and the acceptance of fate. What then can be learned from this sorrowful tale? First, there is the lesson of love's cost. Freyr's choice to relinquish his sword for Gerdr is a reminder that love often demands sacrifice. In the mythology of the North, this is not depicted as foolishness, but as an act of authentic humanity. Even gods, with all their power and foresight, are moved by the heart's desires. Second, we see the Norse attitude toward fate and courage. The gods know their destiny. They are not blind to the coming doom, yet they do not shrink from the challenge. Freyr's stand against Surtr, even without a weapon, exemplifies the valor that Norse culture revered, the willingness to meet the end head-on, to wrest meaning from struggle, no matter how hopeless. Third, there is the theme of cosmic renewal. Ragnarök is not merely the end. It is the necessary destruction that precedes rebirth. After the flames have died and the world lies in ashes, a new earth will rise, green and abundant. Survivors, both divine and mortal, will find hope in the fresh dawn. The sacrifice of Freyr, the destruction wrought by Surtr, both play their part in this eternal cycle. Finally, the story speaks to the need for balance. Creation and destruction are not enemies, but partners in the dance of existence. Freyr and Surtr are two halves of the same whole. One brings life, the other clears the way for new beginnings. Without the end, there can be no fresh start. Without sacrifice, there can be no renewal. As the echoes of battle fade and the fires of Surtr consume the world, we are left with the memory of Freyr's courage and the bittersweet beauty of his fate. His tale endures not because it avoids tragedy, but because it embraces it, finding meaning in loss, hope in despair, and dignity in defeat. And so, through the smoke and ruin, the seeds of a new world are planted. Perhaps, in that renewed earth, a spirit like Freyr will once again walk the fields, blessing the harvest and bringing peace among men. Perhaps this time, the lessons of love and responsibility will guide a different choice. But always, the story reminds us, the heart's sacrifices shape the fate of worlds, and even in endings, there is the promise of beginnings. The saga of Freyr and Surtr stands as a timeless reminder of the complexities of life, the inevitability of change, and the enduring power of hope. It is a tale not only of gods and giants, but of all who face the trials of love and loss, of sacrifice and rebirth. Through the fires of destruction, the world is remade, and the memory of those who stood bravely at the end continues to inspire. This is the story of Freyr, the god who chose love, who faced the end unarmed, and whose sacrifice paved the way for a new dawn. And this is the story of Surtr, the fire that cleanses, the darkness before the light, necessary and relentless. May we remember them both as we walk our own paths between creation and destruction, sowing seeds of hope in the ashes of yesterday.